Thanks for joining me today. My name is Josh Ward, and I work for Veloci. Veloci is an internet marketing company, and we specialize in doing the two things that make you successful online, that make your website successful, and that is, one, drive traffic to your site, and two, traffic that comes to your site, more of the visitors, turn into customers, right? Leads, or if it's an e-commerce site, we want more people that come to the site buy. It may be a conversion, maybe signing up for a newsletter, maybe several things. Last month, we went pretty much on conversions and how you build a site for conversions, how you kind of optimize for you. Today we're going to back up a little bit and really focus in on keywords and keyword strategy. The Veloci site is up on the screen here, veloci.com. So if you want more information about Veloci and our services, you can go there. But you'll notice that Veloci is an internet marketing company, which means that part of what we do is search engine optimization. And so for us to get ranked for the term in Google, when you go search for search engine optimization, we need to use a keyword or the keyword search engine optimization or SEO on our website. And as you can see on this page, we've done that. You've got over here on the left-hand side, it says search engine optimization. We've got the word SEO here. We've got it again here. We've got it over here in this text. We've got SEO and search engine optimization. And basically, that's a keyword or a key phrase, right? A key term. And what it's telling Google is, hey, Google, this is what my site is about. It's about SEO. This site is about SEO. As a matter of fact, if you look way up here at the top in the page title, on the very top of this browser screen, you'll see the words SEO company. That keyword SEO company in the page title, what we're telling Google is the most important thing on this page is the word SEO company, and that's what we should rank for. So essentially, what keywords or key terms or key phrases allow you to do is it allows you to teach Google what terms you rank for. It allows you to teach the search engines how to categorize your site, your services, and your offerings. And that's pretty important, and it's really it's limited power we have in the SEO world. The search engines largely control what goes on, right? They respond how they want to respond, and they keep their ways kind of secret. And so we don't have a lot of insight or a lot of control over where they rank us. We can help influence that, but we don't have a lot of control over it. But one of the things that we can have control over is what key terms we choose and what key terms we communicate to the search engines. And so it's a very important thing to do. In fact, I was talking with a client earlier today, and we were discussing how really picking out key terms and developing your keyword strategy is the first thing you need to do when working on optimizing your site for search. It really is. It's at the building blocks of what's going to make a successful SEO campaign. We're going to talk a little bit about keywords today. We're going to talk about how we identify keywords, how we do keyword research, how we can look at competitors and see what competitors are optimizing for. We're going to do several of those things, and by the end of our time, hopefully you'll be able to go and do keyword research for your own business and for your own site and develop that strategy and become that much more successful with online marketing. First thing I did was I just did a search in Google for the term keyword, right? That was the topic of today's talk. So I went to Google and did a search for keyword just to point out that all the sites, you'll notice all the sites that come up here have the words keywords somewhere on their page, right? You'll notice that this is the Adwords keyword tool that we'll be looking at here shortly. On the Wikipedia page, it's not just any Wikipedia page, it's the keyword page on Wikipedia. And so on and so forth down the line. So everything, if you use the keyword enough and in the right places, Google categorize your site based on the keywords you've chosen. So to show that real quick. Another thing to mention briefly is that sorry, let me back up. Well, one thing to mention briefly is that I picked a topic for today's talk, a backdrop, if you will, for us some keyword research. So we can't we could talk about keywords in general, but I thought, hey, let's get specific and look at some specific examples. And we've got one of our project managers here in the office who's a pretty he likes a cigar now and then, and keeps up on new cigars and is he's aficionado, right, of sorts. I thought that might be a good topic today. We can look at cigars because a cigar website could be an e-commerce site. It could just be an informational or news site. It could be a community of other cigar lovers. So there are lots of things we can look at with terms related to cigars. And so the first is, I said, if I'm a business, right, and I'm going to start doing some keyword strategy or figuring out, what key terms I'm going to use, and if my business happens to deal in cigars, then the first thing I'm going to type in is I'm going to say, well, if people are trying to find me, if they're trying to find my products or trying to find the content that I'm producing, then they're going to search for the word cigars, right? I come to Google and I type in the word cigars, and what I find is there are some really, really headers, some really big websites that come up for the term cigars. So when I type cigar into Google, I get sites like cigar.com and Wikipedia and Cigar Aficionado, and these are really big, really corporate sites, and they probably have lots of budget behind them. And so maybe cigar is too big. The other thing to think about with a term like cigar in my business, right? If I've got a cigar website, cigar is the holy grail, right? It's the biggest, broadest term out there. And we'll look at traffic numbers in a second, but I imagine the word cigar gets more traffic than any other term related to my industry. But are people, if I think about, what types of people could be typing the word cigar into Google, what types of people would they be, right? It could be somebody who's looking to buy cigars, of course. It could be someone who's looking for maybe the history of cigars, doing a little research. It could be somebody just trying to figure out all the different types, whether it's a Torpedo or a Winston Churchill, or what the gauge size of cigars, how that breaks down, and the differences in darker wrappers versus lighter wrappers, or Cuban cigars versus maybe Nicaraguan cigars. All sorts of research that can be done just by typing the word cigar in. You could also have people that are maybe looking for a local cigar store. So if you'll notice that I'm in Austin, Texas. Google figured out that I'm in Austin, Texas, and they've showed me this little map. And as I scroll down my page, I actually get results that say, hey, here's a cigar store in Austin, and here's another cigar store in Austin, and on down the line. So the word cigar may not be, although it is the biggest term in my industry, it may not be the best term for me. And so if I narrow that down, and I said, well, gosh, my site's about cigars, but what I'm really passionate about are humidors. I think humidors are just, when they're very well made, the craftsmanship and is just, it's just amazing. And that's what I'm an enthusiast about. And in fact, I sell custom humidors, and that's really what my business is about. So in this kind of subset under cigars, you got humidors, right? For cigars. And so when you do the search for humidor, you get wikipedia.org, and then you get some other sites. Look at commerce sites, cheaphumidors.com, Humidor Vault, humidor.com. So maybe humidor is also too big, right? Maybe it's too big, too broad of a term. And so you have to think about these things. You need to identify who your audience is, and then pick terms that are related to that audience. If I pick big terms, if my business is built on custom humidors, custom and specialty humidors, if that's really what I'm passionate about, and that's what my site's about, and I use these bigger, broader terms, then there's only a very small fraction of the traffic that I would get for those terms would be applicable to my business. And so I need to start looking at new terms. And the first place I would suggest starting, right? Once we say, okay, here's our theme, but now let's dig down. Let's find some humidors, or some specific key terms that'll work for me. The first place I wanted to go is the Google AdWords keyword tool. And if you do AdWords keyword tool, if you search for that, it should be the first listing that comes up. And I can come in here and I can look for word or phrases, right? And so I can type in words like humidor or cigar. We talked about custom humidors, so I'm going to type custom humidor in here. I may type in specialty, if I could spell specialty humidors, right? Maybe people are searching as specialty. So I'm going to check a couple of words, and then I'm going to come down here. I got to type in my title CAPTCHA search. And Google out, and it looks at all its data. And what it returns is volume of monthly searches for different terms. And so you'll notice in this first column, you've got the keyword, right? So this tells us what keyword that Google looked at. Second column is it gives us a gauge of competition. And competition is based on AdWords, right? So the more competitive a term is, the more green in that box. And it means that more businesses are bidding on that term, trying to buy ad space. Now, we're not talking about paid search today, so we won't pay much attention there. But then you'll see it says global monthly searches, and this is the number of searches done globally, so in the entire world for this particular term. And the next column you'll see it says local monthly searches, and local. You'll be able to find up here, it says location, United States. So by local, it doesn't mean Austin, Texas. It means local to the entire country. And then you'll have trends, right? So this is month to month. Is the word cigar searched for more in the summertime or the wintertime, or does it not matter? Is it pretty consistent? And as you can see, the word cigar is pretty consistent there. When we get to this point, we have to make one quick change before we start diving in and consuming this information. We have to come over here to where it says match types. And the options there. There's broad, exact, and phrase. Now, broad means anytime a word is used, whether it's part of another sentence or part of another word, but anytime these 5 letters show up together, C-I-G-A-N-R, they show up together. I want to see times that those show up together in a search, and so it's a lot. But it doesn't tell us exactly how many times just the word cigars searched for. That's what this exact option does. Now, this is another option where it says, well, as long as cigar is used in a phrase, so maybe Cuban cigar. It may be Nicaraguan cigar, it may be cigar gifts. Anytime in a phrase the word cigar is used, still not exact, not something I'll look at when I'm working on my search engine optimization. Now, if I was looking at paid search, working on my paid search advertising, then those options might be helpful. I want to check exact and uncheck broad. Refresh the screen, and then you'll notice that these numbers got significantly less, right? This number used to be 1 million. Used to be 1 million global searches, but when we look at exact, we get that there's 22,000 searches for the word cigar. And searches is really what I care about, right? I'm only going to sell to the U.S., and so we look on here and we say, okay, cigar gets 9,900 searches a month, right? That's closer to what I do. It's 6,600. Cigar humidor is a little bit less, 3,600. Cigar humidors with an S, plural, 1,900. Let's see. Let's go down and see if we can find custom. To sort this, we'll say only show ideas containing my search terms. Let's do that. And if we can find some custom humidors, travel humidor, right? That may be, be a little custom. If that falls into my custom area, that may be a good term to look at. Tampa humidor, that may be another good thing to look at. humidor, humidifier, cigar accessories, so if I provide plans to my custom humidors, that may be something good. To look at humidor reviews, that may be a good term. Cat humidor. Humidor, probably not something I want to look at. Anyway, so we've got options here that Google's given us as to what potential key terms we have, right? So I've got some ideas on specific custom type humidor search terms that I could use. If I want to, one of the things we look at when we're choosing key terms. So I've got some ideas now. One of the things that we look at when we're choosing key terms is how competitive those terms are. Meaning, the people that rank at the top of the page for that term, how big is the site, right? You can kind of think about how big is the site, how big, relative to my budget, how big is their budget to go and do search engine optimization. If you're a small company and you're a small company, then you probably have similar budgets. If, for instance, I'm selling, let's say I'm selling computers and I'm trying to go up against Dell, Dell's got a much bigger budget for search engine optimization than I do. And so picking up number one for a term, I may want to pick a different term. So we can come here and we can look at, let's say, the Tampa humidor, and get Tampa humidor. So there's a TampaHumidor.com, still TampaHumidor.com, and then a few other sites, right? Humidors.com is showing up again. So maybe this isn't, maybe that's not the best, the best key term, because there's some, competing with TampaHumidor.com, they have the keyword in the domain name. Might not be the best thing to do. So we can go down this line and we can check and see who ranks for our terms, right? For the terms that we think might work for us. The second thing we can do, once we figure out, let's say we find a site and we don't know anything about the site, we can start to use tools to do a little bit better analysis of how competitive those sites might be. So let's click on Humidor Plans, take a look at that, and here's a bunch of sites, and I really don't know anything about these sites, right? I don't know how competitive they are. So I couldn't tell you, what their budget was or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come up here and I'm going to copy this domain. I'm going to be Yahoo, right? I was in a Google AdWords tool, yahoo.com, just the basic domain. Notice I'm not signed in. That's very important. Or I'm going to go site : and I'm going to put the domain into the search bar, site : domain, and say web search. Yahoo's going to give me a list of links. And links give us some really good insights as to how competitive a site is. The more links a site has, the higher it should be ranked, right, in general terms. Right? So if I've got 100 links point site and my competition has 1,000 links, they should be higher than me in the search terms. It tells search engines, hey, this site's more important. The more links you have, it communicates importance and relevance to the search engines. Notice that this site only looks like it has 39 links, right? A couple of things I want to notice here. Instead of all subdomains, you want to say only this domain. That's very important. And then you want to say in links, right? So just show me links coming to the site. There are 39 of them. And so here are pages that are linking back to this site, to this humidor site that we've looked at. Build your own humidor, right? Know that if I want to rank higher than this site, then what I probably need to do is I need more than 39 links, right? For 100 or maybe a couple of 100 links, right? Pointing back to my site. So build your own, or excuse me, the search we were looking for was humans, right? This was the search that we were looking at. humans. And if that's a term I want to go after, it seems like a pretty reasonable term, right? Because the number one guide doesn't have very many links. It seems not very competitive at all. And we know from the Adwords keyword tool that that Humidor Plans gets a pretty good number of searches every month. I think it was somewhere around 320 Humidor accessory Humidor Plans. Here it is, 390, right? 390 searches a month. So that's not bad. That may be a term I want to go after. But when we look at sites and we don't know anything about them, we can use Yahoo, what Yahoo calls their Site Explorer, to get an idea of how competitive that term may be. The other thing we can do, you'll notice down here in the bottom right-hand corner, I'm using a Firefox browser. There's a plugin for Firefox. It's called the SEO Plugin for Firefox. And if I turn it on and I refresh my search results, then I get all this additional data. It shows up underneath each result. And you'll notice that it tells me how many links are coming to the site, how old the domain is, and it'll give me some other information if I want it to. It'll tell me the page rank of the site. And that's cool. So instead of bouncing back and forth from Google AdWords to a Google search and then over to a Yahoo Site Explorer, I come straight into a Google search and I can get all this research or all this extra data that I was looking at. Right? That's a benefit to using browser plugins. Like I said, the SEO plugin for Firefox. If you're using Google Chrome, there are also some really good SEO plugins that'll give you the same type of SEO research, some insight. One other way to do keyword research, we talked about picking out some key terms and then figuring out how competitive they are. Let's also talk about what if we kind of get stuck, or what if we just want to know what our competition is optimizing for, right? Said, hey, build your own humidor is very similar to a site. I consider them a competitor. To find out what key terms they're optimizing for. What's my competition doing? Then I can do a few things. The thing I can do is I can, again, go back and copy the domain back to my AdWords keyword tool, and I come over where it says website, right? So next to key terms, I'm going to come over to website. I'm going to paste the domain, and I'll say, search. It will analyze that site, and it will tell me this is what Google thinks that site's about. It thinks it's about cigar humidors, humidors for cigars, so on and so forth. So it's giving me keywords based on my competitor's site, right? Can be very helpful. So that's one way to use your competition to get keyword ideas. The second way is simply by coming over to your competition site in a few different places. So if I come to buildyourownhumidor.com and I look at the top here, I go back to the page title up here at the top of my browser bar, I have some words: build a humidor, custom Spanish cedar humidors, so on and so forth. And so I know that these terms that are in the page title are very important to this business. They've said, hey, these are the terms we want to rank for. I know that, hey, those are the terms my competition are ranking for, and I can figure out if I want to rank for them as well. Now, one thing that Build Your Own Humidor is doing a poor job of is they have way too many words up here in their page title. All these terms are not helping them out. And we can get into that on a different session, how to write good page titles. To figure out what your competition is, or another way of figuring out what your competition is optimizing for. A third way is just to scroll down the page and look at bigger, bolder text, right? Text that's been bolded on their site. So Spanish cedar is a word, and you'll notice that also showed up in Google AdWords, Spanish cedar lumber, right? It's bigger and bolder. Google recognizes it as a key term, and so do we. You can scroll down and see, cherry, walnut, maple, exotic woods. All these things could be clues as to what they're trying to rank for, or what they may be optimizing for. Spanish cedar lining, Spanish building humidor. So that gives you some competitive insight. Now, one thing to mention about that is that just because competition's doing it doesn't mean they're doing it successfully. So realize that that your competition isn't always, just because they may be ranking higher than you, doesn't mean they may be doing a better job of picking key terms that are going to resonate with their visitors. So keep that in mind. But it'll help give you some ideas. It'll help get those flowing to brainstorm some keyword ideas. So the way to choose key terms. The final thing I want to talk about just briefly, as far as doing keyword research and finding keywords, is another tool that we use and we recommend, and that's this tool called Market Samurai. And all the things that I talked about today, how competitive a key term is, what your competition may be ranking for, terms that, some suggested terms, all those things, I've bounced around to 4 or 5 screens in order to do all that. Market Samurai consolidates a lot of that. I think it's really cheap. I want to say Market Samurai license for Market Samurai is somewhere around $25. So it's fairly inexpensive if you're doing a lot of keyword research, and it keeps everything in one screen. It gives you a lot of good data, and it's pulling data from all the different sites that I showed you. It's pulling data from Google and from Yahoo, and then aggregating it and putting it in a very digestible form for us to go out and do research. So if this is something you're going to be doing frequently, or you want some help doing it, then I would suggest using Market Samurai. It's a great tool for doing keyword research and some other things. About all the time I have for today. Key points, key takeaways. One, make sure when you're picking key terms, you've got the resources to rank for that key term. If you're competing with Dell, make sure you have a Dell budget for the term. If not, look at some key terms that are less competitive. Number 2 is make sure you pick key terms that are relevant to your audience. Right? Just because you're in the cigar industry doesn't mean the word cigar is the most relevant key term for you. Think about relevancy for your visitors. And 3 is, use the tools that are available. There's free ones, the Adwords keyword tool, Yahoo Site Explorer, and then some paid ones like Market Samurai. Been a helpful session. Again, my name is Josh Ward. I work for Valachi. My phone is 512-633-2976. You can email me, josh@valachi.com, and you can check out our website and find out more about our products and services. And if you decide keyword research and optimizing your site is too big a job for you, give us a call, and we'd love to help you out.